This is the Weber Spirit S-315 natural gas grill. It turned my weeknight grilling into a consistent, low-effort routine with heat I can trust and cleanup that does not slow me down. I would place this in the sweet spot for backyard cooks who want a reliable, natural gas setup without going oversized. It suits anyone who cooks for a small to medium group and values predictable results more than flashy extras. If you like the idea of walking outside, turning a couple of knobs, and getting steady heat without thinking about fuel tanks, this is exactly that kind of grill. The design choices matter in daily use. The lid feels solid and closes with a reassuring weight, and the handle stays easy to grip even when my hands are a bit greasy. There is a temperature gauge right on the lid. It is not a lab instrument, but it is good enough for at-a-glance checks when the hood is down. The main cooking surface is roomy for a compact grill, and I can fit a family dinner without playing Tetris with the food. The secondary warming rack has been more useful than I expected. I move finished pieces up there to hold without overcooking, and it also works for toasting buns or warming tortillas while everything else finishes. The side tables are sturdy, which matters more than it sounds. I can set a heavy tray of marinated chicken on one side and a cutting board on the other without sag or wobble. The tool hooks keep tongs and a spatula right where I need them so I am not juggling. Down below, the enclosed area gives me space for brushes, gloves, and a small bin for wood chips when I want a hint of smoke. The ventilation is smartly placed, and the back opening helps it breathe without sending heat where I do not want it. The natural gas connection comes through the back with a quick release fitting. Once the gas line was set up at the house, connecting was just a couple of firm clicks. Depending on your setup, you might need an adapter. That is easy to find and it is not a big project, but it is worth planning once so you do not interrupt your first cook. I prefer natural gas because I never have to think about swapping fuel tanks or running out mid-dinner. Ignition is the simplest part. The starter uses one triple a battery, and the compartment is easy to access. I have been cooking on this grill for about 2 years, and the igniter has not missed a beat. The control knobs turn smoothly with a clear, precise feel, and each of the 3 burners lights consistently. Being able to run just one burner, or 2, or all 3 gives me zones to cook different foods at different intensities. That flexibility is what makes a 3-burner layout so practical. From the first cook, the experience felt straightforward. I turn it on, give it a few minutes to preheat, and it is ready. In my backyard, it climbs to a hot searing range in roughly 10 minutes with the lid closed. It does not feel rushed or sluggish. It just gets there in a predictable way. On a breezy day, the flame stays steady, and I do not see major swings if I open the lid to flip food and then close it again. The burners respond quickly when I adjust them, so I can tame a flare-up or push a sear without waiting. Performance is the reason I stuck with it. Heat distribution across the main grates is even enough that I can line up a row of burgers and get the same color from end to end. There is a slightly hotter strip near the center line that I now use on purpose for searing steaks. For thicker cuts, I use the left and right burners on medium and leave the center off to create an indirect zone. That setup makes bone and chicken cook through without burning the skin. When I want a hard sear, I bring all 3 burners up, lay the steak diagonally across the grates, and get solid grill marks in a minute or 2 per side, then finish on the cooler zone. The lid thermometer is fine for monitoring ranges, but I still trust a probe thermometer for precise doneness. That is not a knock on this grill specifically. It is just how I cook. Real-world testing over time taught me what it does best. Chicken thighs go from raw to juicy and browned in around 15 to 20 minutes depending on how crowded the grate is and whether I want a tighter sear or a gentler roast. Burgers cook evenly without a lot of flare-ups as long as I keep the grates clean. Thick salmon fillets hold together well because the grates are solid and the heat is steady. Vegetables do not fall into dead zones, and I can move skewers from the hot side to the warming rack to coast to done without scorching. I like to preheat the grill, brush the grates clean while they are hot, oil them lightly with a folded paper towel and tongs, and then start cooking. That routine keeps things from sticking, and it prevents buildup. One use case that keeps coming up is the weeknight mixed plate. I will put bone and chicken on the indirect zone to get a head start, set a couple of burners to medium, and add asparagus or sliced peppers on the hot side to char quickly. When the vegetables are ready, they go up to the warming rack to stay hot. The chicken finishes in the middle of the grate where the heat is gentler, and I bump one burner to high for the last minute to tighten the skin. Everything is done at once, and I did not juggle pans or move inside and outside. On the weekend, I can feed 6 to 8 people by running all 3 burners and the warming rack as a holding shelf. I keep toasted buns and corn on the top rack, while steaks and brats rotate across the main surface. The cleanup design deserves credit. The main grates brush clean best while they are still hot. Underneath, grease and drippings run into a large tray that slides out from the front. Sitting in that tray is a small disposable pan that catches most of the mess. I pull it, toss it, and replace it with a fresh one. Those pans are inexpensive and very easy to find. Above that tray, there is another piece that catches smaller bits. I scoop that out and wipe the area, and the whole interior stays in good shape. If I keep up with a quick wipe down on the exterior after cooking, the stainless steel still looks close to new. There are smart touches that show up with time. The side shelves do not flex even with heavy cast iron cookware on top. The tool hooks are placed where I do not reach across hot surfaces to grab them. The battery compartment for the ignition sits in a spot that does not get greasy, so changing the battery is a clean job. The ventilation at the back means I am not blasting my siding. Those small decisions stack up and make each cook a little less fussy. It is not perfect, and that is okay. The lid thermometer can read a bit higher than grate level temperature during long preheats, so I use it as a general guide. The warming rack sits high enough that very tall items press into it if I forget to remove it, so I sometimes take it out for big roasts. Stainless steel shows fingerprints, so a quick wipe becomes part of the routine if you care about how it looks. There is also a little accessory in the box that I never found a use for. None of these are deal breakers, but they are real things I noticed. Over 2 years, the reliability has been the headline. The igniter still fires up on the first push. The burners still deliver consistent heat. Nothing rattles or feels loose. The natural gas setup means I do not think about fuel, which is one less task before dinner. I like that I can move from a high heat sear to a gentle finishing zone with a quick twist of a knob. I like that the cleanup fits into the 10-minute window after eating. Most of all, I like that I can get repeatable results on foods I cook a lot, and I can try new things without fighting hot spots. If you want a backyard grill that runs on natural gas, fits on a patio, and prioritizes steady performance and simple upkeep, this is a strong choice. It is especially good if you cook a couple of nights a week and host on weekends now and then. If you need something ultra-portable, or you want a massive cooking area for very large gatherings, there are other options. For a dependable, 3-burner setup with useful storage, sturdy side tables, a practical warming rack, and an easy-to-manage grease system, this checked the boxes for me and kept doing it long after the new toy feeling wore off. I'll leave the details about the Weber Spirit S-315 NG gas grill in the comments for you to check out. See you in the next video.